I hate my accent. I sound like someone else when I speak English. I'm tired of not being understood. I've heard all of these word for word from clients who are incredibly articulate, but it's a huge problem that they are facing every single day. So if you're watching this and you are going, that is me, hopefully this video will help you out. Hi, I'm Molly, a voice and communications coach. And one of the most painful things I hear from clients is that they don't just struggle to speak in English, they struggle to recognize themselves when speaking English. I want to start off by talking about this client of mine called Maria, or we're going to call her Maria. And she's a client that I'm never going to forget. She's one of those people who really lights up a room. She's expressive, warm, really quick-witted, but she would argue when we first started working together that that was only in Spanish. In English, she felt like someone had totally dimmed the lights on her personality. She told me that I know what to say, but I sound clipped, smaller, not like me. I'm second guessing myself when I walk into spaces. I don't feel like I can take up the same space in the English language that I can in Spanish. I'm a great speaker in Spanish, but not in English, is what she said. And I could hear it in her as well, right? Her voice was tight, her pace was rushed, and she looked actually really exhausted after 5 minutes of speaking, because when we're rushing through things so much and we're so nervous and anxious about people's perception of us, then we are going to drain ourselves out. Now, she came to me thinking and asking for us to fix her accent, her words, not mine. But that's not where we started. We started with her breath, her breathing. We worked on letting it drop lower into the belly so that she's using her diaphragm to breathe. This was because she was kind of breathing in a really high and shallow place in the chest, which means that her pace was going to be so rushed that no matter what she was saying, we wouldn't be able to understand it anyway because it was being so rushed. We worked on softening her jaw and her jaw muscles, not forcing it open, not trying to be bigger in itself, which causes that extra effort, but just allowing herself to release. Honestly, just giving herself permission to open up space. And lastly, we then worked on something that took a while and something that she was kind of shocked by, slowing down the pace. No drills, no repeat after me exercises at the first few sessions. It was just her and exercises tailored for her to give her permission in the English language to reconnect with her own body and voice. My goal was, can we get Maria to find ease when speaking English and to feel like herself when she's speaking English again? And then one day, and it wasn't even a big moment, she listened to herself back, because I'll usually with clients, I'll get them to record themselves or I'll get them to bring in a recording or a presentation they do. And she liked the sound of herself. She liked the accent. She liked the presence that she had in this recording that she noticed. And you know what the funny thing is? She was not more English sounding. She was just more connected to what she was saying. And that's because we'd worked so hard on slowing her pace down that she kind of rewired this system in her brain that meant, as a non-native English speaker, I must fill this silence to show people that I'm not finished, to make sure that people don't interrupt me, and to make sure I show them that I know the right language. What we worked on instead is trusting that that message will come through when you slow down. And that made her more clearer, grounded, and feel like hopefully more herself in the English language than anything else before, or then starting in with fixing an accent that doesn't need fixing. And that's because the real issue when I work with most L2 speakers, L2 is what I'm calling non-native English speakers, isn't their accent. And most of them think it is, but it's not. It's not the issue, and it's not actually the thing that's really holding them back. It's the pressure to sound right. And I want to pause on that word for a second. Right. Because what on earth does that even mean? Now, for a lot of people, right has come to mean native or posh or fluent to the point of invisibility. Now, we internalize that the more English we sound, the more valid we'll be, the more professional, the more acceptable in society or in a meeting, in a call, in the room. But the moment we start chasing perfection in every single syllable that we speak, something happens. we lose rhythm. We lose the flow. We lose the personality that actually makes our voice ours. So let's shift the frame. Clarity does not come from tightening. It comes from space. Let's try something together right now with me. So I want you to just say out loud for me, in whatever voice, whatever accent you've got today, this is my voice. However it comes, no adjustment. Now say it again. But this time, I want you to imagine that your jaw muscles, which if you have a feel around here, around your lower mandible, around your lower mandible here, you have jaw muscles from your temples here, all the way down here. And I want you to imagine this space is almost opening up a little bit, okay? Don't worry about touching too much. You kind of want to imagine that there are weights right here on the lower mandible that are allowing the jaw to drop. As you do that, just give a big sigh for me. Settle into the body, that's it. And just imagine those words are just flowing out. This is my voice. This is my voice. My name is Molly Parker. It is a Tuesday. I'm imagining that my voice is like that sigh, and I'm just allowing the words to come through. Now, do you feel a difference how you say that versus how you would usually speak? Usually we're constantly here and we're going, hi, my name is Molly. Yeah, this is Tuesday. This is what I'm going to do. Look back at your presentations and tell me that you are speaking in this grounded way. I bet you aren't, okay? I bet you're in this head voice or this way of articulating that's just like, let me rustle through this. That is what is getting in the way of your communication, not your accent. How we combat this is not about effort, it's about ease. It's about space, it's about grounding, it's about taking up more space physically and therefore vocally. It's not about trying harder, it's actually about giving yourself permission. And that's where your clarity really lives. Clarity is about how am I connecting to what I'm saying, not about getting it right. Now, there is a lot of noise out there from people who, quite frankly, maybe aren't trained in voice coaching. As I'd like to remind you, if you don't know me already, I do have a master's in voice and accent coaching. So I do have some qualifications behind this. I'm not just making these videos because I'm good at this myself. A lot of these techniques are things that I need reminding of as well. But there's a lot of noise out there from people who maybe aren't as qualified or are qualified in a different way on what makes someone sound credible or professional in English, especially if you're speaking it as a second language. But here's what I want you to know. People don't actually respond to how native you sound. They respond to how present you are, to how connected you are to what you're actually saying. I have seen this again and again. In workshops, in client calls, in presentations. I've literally watched this back with people. Someone may not hit every single sound perfectly, but they're grounded, they're expressive, they're committed to what they are saying, and the listener leans in. And you know what the research tells us? The research says that emotional connection to tone, to rhythm, to confidence plays a far bigger role in how you're received than the perfect grammar does, or accent accuracy, if you want to call it that. And that's really good news because you don't have to erase your own voice and your own lived experience to be understood. You can be clear and accented. You can be understood and truly unique. So instead of trying to flatten or fix your accent, what if you gave it more space? And I know some of you may be really disagreeing with this sentiment, okay? Because you will have experienced a lot of accent bias. And I hear you. That is a real thing. And I'm so sorry that that's still a thing in the day and age we're in, especially when I live somewhere like London, the most multicultural city in the world. Accent bias does exist. And I'm not negating that. I'm not saying that if you do have an accent that's not like mine, that you shouldn't want it or that you're wrong to want help. But what I suppose I am saying is, can we reframe the idea that I need to fix an accent and frame it into this idea of, can I integrate my accent as I speak English? And what if I gave it more space? I slowed down. Does that make an impact on my audience and how they perceive my accent as a result? So if you've been carrying around this idea that your accent makes you less professional, less clear, or less you, I hope this video gave you something to push back on. If you're ready to feel at home in your own voice, do check out these free online courses I have on Skillshare. I have a few there for L2 speakers. Subscribe to my Monday newsletter where you hear all of my musings and all of my research. If you enjoy this kind of philosophy, you'll hear a lot of that on my newsletter. And if you want some deeper support, I do work with private clients throughout the year, and you can book a discovery call in the description to have a chat about how I may be able to help you. And if you're watching this and you're an actor, I do run quarterly actor courses that you are welcome to sign up for. If you're on my mailing list, that's how you get to be the first to know about it. They do sell out every time, and I'm really sorry, but I'm very strict about the capacity I have for those. So do check out my mailing list, do sign up if you're not already, and you'll be the first to know about upcoming courses. You don't need to sound native to sound real. You just need to sound like you with more space.